And these last points, too accurate for sand people. Only Imperial Stormtroopers are so precise.
Well, that's not actually the case. So, being the crazy person I am, I went through the entirety of A New Hope and found every time a Stormtrooper shot a blaster, or Imperial, because they're all trained at some point to be a Stormtrooper. And then I calculated how many times they actually hit the shot they wanted to target, and with that I found their total accuracy on film for A New Hope. And it's about as impressive as you'd think. I'll show you my overall process, the final results, and with that being said, like and subscribe if you did enjoy, and let's get into it. I had 3 rules to get me the most accurate results. The first being only counting Stormtroopers, no TIE fighters, no AT-ATs, or other vehicles. This is because by the time episode 6 happens, I am not counting every single shot I see. Number 2, I had to determine what they were actually aiming at. If they're aiming at a person and they shot that person, that would count. But if they hit the wall or something, caused an explosion, that wouldn't. If they were shooting the Falcon, then if they shot the Falcon, that would count and anything else wouldn't. And that just helped me refine how many hits they actually landed. And number 3, if a Stormtrooper shoots, then it cuts to the heroes. I will count the shots that he shot originally and then wait for any new ones. So if he shot 2 shots, and then I see 3 bolts, I'll count just 3 instead of 5 in that scene. I began watching A New Hope, and then I immediately realized I needed a new method, because I couldn't just watch the movie and get all the shots. So I went on YouTube, slowed it down to 0.25 speed, and watched these clips while watching the movie alongside to make sure I didn't miss anything. And this opening scene had a lot. The Stormtroopers shot a total of 93 shots, which I thought was a lot for just that small scene. But once you slow it down, you can see how much effort they put into adding as many laser bolts as they could. And with that being said, they didn't actually hit a whole lot. And this was mainly due to them shooting the walls and exploding things to kill people instead of actually hitting them directly. But all in all, this first scene resulted in 4 confirmed kills, and 1 successful stun on Princess Leia. Whoever did that has to be made a Stormtrooper captain as soon as possible. The Stormtroopers hit 1 out of 1 stuns, and 4 out of 92 other shots. This leads their current accuracy to be 5.37%, which is pretty low to begin with, and that's just where it starts. The second scene I took a look at in A New Hope was escaping Mos Eisley, where the Stormtroopers tried to hit Han Solo before he ran into the Falcon, dodging all of these blasts. But it actually wasn't as much as you think, because the scene's pretty short and they get out of there quickly. But from what I could count, they shot 31 total blaster bolts, but they get a bit of a raise since they actually hit the Millennium Falcon as it was escaping. And since their target changed from Han Solo to the Millennium Falcon, and raised their shot percentage, hitting 6 out of 31 or 19.35%, raising the total accuracy to 8.87%. The third section I took time to count was rescuing the princess, and this included breaking into the prison block and then escaping into the garbage chute, and these sections had a lot of firepower, bringing our total of shots up to 234, which actually did not help them at all, since the Stormtroopers managed to hit 0 of those shots. So now they were 11 for 234, bringing them down from 8.87% back down to a 4.7%. These scenes took a lot longer to count because there were so many intricate parts where they switched back and forth between characters, as you can see behind you, and that made it more difficult, but thanks to that 0.25 speed, it wasn't too much of a hassle, and I did my best, but of course, I could be wrong in any of these scenarios, but I did it as accurately as possible, so I think my numbers are pretty on point for what the movie actually has to offer. The last section was the escape sequence, which I should have turned into multiple sections, because there's Luke and Leia at the swinging section, there's Han running into a ton of Stormtroopers, and then there's after Obi-Wan dies, where they all run away into the Falcon and escape. But This I decided not to do for some reason, and after I already had it done, there was no point in going back and trying to recount everything, so I just kept it as one big part. This section added another 156 shots, the most for each singular section that I went through, but that's because it had the most content, and as well as that, the Stormtroopers were still able to hit 0, which out of those, you'd think they at least hit 1, but somehow they managed to miss all of them. With no new added shots, this of course would result in the percent going down, but I will leave that for our final results, as this is the last section in the movie where we see Stormtroopers firing on our heroes. It is to say, it is not looking good for our white-clad fellows, as they weren't able to hit any shots in the last two, which had the most overall shots in the 4 parts that we looked at. Now, it's time for the results. During the opening scene, the Stormtroopers took 93 shots, hitting 5 of them, killing 4 people, and they had an accuracy of 5.37%. Moving on to Mos Eisley, a quick battle that only had 31 shots, but they are able to actually hit 6 of those, bringing them up to a 8.87% with an accuracy in this section of 19.35%. While our heroes rescued the princess, they shot another 110 shots, but this time they weren't able to hit any, dropping their percentage down to a 4.70. And finally, as our heroes escaped the Death Star, the Stormtroopers added another 156 shots, once again hitting none. This brings us down to our final percentage of 2.82%. Out of 390 total shots, they only hit 11. 4 were actual kills, 1 was a stun on Princess Leia, and the other 6 were hitting the Millennium Falcon, which boosted their score just a bit. Imagine if they didn't have that. They would have an abysmal accuracy, way lower than the one they already have. These findings completely discredit whatever Kenobi said back in our intro, and it confirms what the fans have always suspected. The Imperials and Stormtroopers are completely trash at being a viable military force. Well guys, that's gonna do it for the video. This was really fun to make, and I had a blast counting every single shot, and while it was a bit tedious, it was interesting to see how poor their accuracy actually is. And with that, I have to do the other 2 movies sometime in the future, because I can't just leave off the trilogy, because it gets more intense as we move on, especially the Battle of Endor. That will be a hassle to count. So we're gonna have to move up to that, but first we have Empire Strikes Back, which I think has less Stormtrooper action. With that being said, like and subscribe if you did enjoy. Comment down below your thoughts, and see you guys next time.